Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Matt with the Hardcover Comic, and this is going to be episode 1 of what is ultimately going to be a 4-part series of a book that I'm currently reading, which is Starman by James Robinson. Art mostly by Tony Harris. There's some other artists, I guess, in the tail end of the book, but for the most part, Tony Harris was also on the book for most of the ride with James Robinson. Now, the book started at the tail end of 1994, and it ran for 80 issues through about 2001 is when it ended. So it had a nice long, like 7-year run, and 80 issues, some annuals and things, and some couple tie-in issues, along the way. But it's a book that a lot of people have heard of, but from my understanding, probably not a lot of people have read. It's kind of one of those hidden gem books. It's one that's not readily available. They did release a 6-volume hardcover custom set, omnibus, not custom, but sorry, I have the custom. They did release a 6-volume omnibus hardcover set some years ago, and a lot of the volumes are actually out of print now. So in order to get all 6 of them, I've seen it go upwards like $400 or $500 to get like all 6 volumes, sometimes even more. So it is a hefty book, especially for people that may not be familiar with it, but want to read it. So it's a series that I, had never read previously. I've always heard about. I do like James Robinson. I loved what he did on Airboy. If you've never read the 4-issue run of Airboy by James Robinson, I highly recommend it. It is a glorious, really fun, interesting read. But yeah, so I've always kind of liked James Robinson's work. And everybody's like, well, you should check out, those that have read it, they're like, you should check out Starman. I said, okay, well, one of these days. And I happened to be on eBay one day. As you guys know, as you can see behind me, almost all of this is custom binds. I'm a big custom bind person. And I was on eBay, and someone was selling a set of an 8-volume set, because some of them, they're not as thick, they're smaller binds. But someone was selling an 8-volume set of Starman on eBay, and I lucked out and I won. So I now have the 8-volume set of Starman, which those are 6 of the 8 right there. And I just got done reading the first 2 volumes, which are these ones right here. And these were bound by Houchen all the way back in 2004. And I'll tell you what, I don't know who originally bound these or who read them, but Houchen did such an amazing job on these. These are 16-year-old binds, and it literally felt like I was picking them up for the first time and reading them for the first time ever. They were that good, the binding quality. So I was very impressed, needless to say, with the binding quality of these. But I just got done reading the first 2 volumes, and I thought I would kind of do sort of like a review of what I've read so far and just kind of discuss a little bit of Starman, and then sort of just every time I finish 2 volumes, just do another one of these kind of vlogs, so to speak, discussing Starman. And maybe if you're not familiar with it, it's going to excite you to go out and pick up the book or check it out digitally at least. And there's supposed to be a big compendium coming. Whether or not it does, that remains to be seen. But there is supposed to be one coming. Otherwise, maybe you read it digitally, or maybe you've read it before and you absolutely adore the run, and this is just kind of reminiscing for you. Who knows? But so anyways, I just thought it'd be cool for people to kind of check out and see what their ultimate thoughts are, and explain what my thoughts were as I go through and I read this. I'll try to keep these short and simple, aside from this very first one where I'm explaining everything. But going forward, I will try to keep these very short and simple, and not make these extra long videos. But anyway, so kind of diving in. I love it, hands down. Right away, I got the feel that, and I've said this before, and some people knew exactly what I was talking about that have read the book. But reading James Robinson, the family aspect of it really felt like I was reading a Jeff Johns title. The way, and really, I guess it would be more when I read Jeff Johns reminds me of James Robinson, because James Robinson wrote this way before. But just the family aspects and those family dynamics, it really felt like a Jeff Johns book, and I was like, man, this is really good the way that he's writing these family aspects. So I don't want to try to spoil anything. I am going to try to keep these as spoiler free as humanly possible. For those of you guys that I'll drop subtle hints, and for those of you guys that have read this, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you that haven't, but do end up reading it, you guys are going to be like, oh, that's what he was referring to. So, but yeah, so I really enjoyed it right off the bat. It came out swinging. It's a book about a boy named Jack Knight who takes on the role of Starman. So his dad was Starman, back in like the JSA days, and then he retired. His brother becomes Starman, and this is kind of a minor spoiler because it literally happens like right away in the book. But his brother ends up dying being Starman. His brother ends up being murdered, shot and killed while being Starman. So now there is no Starman, and obviously the dad's too old to do it, and he wants, Jack to take on the role of Starman. And Jack is not someone that would normally ever do something like that. He's not a character that wants to be a hero. He's a junk dealer is kind of what his dad would refer to him as, when really he's a collector. He likes to collect, records, or he likes to collect Viewmasters, which is something that actually James Robinson is a big collector of in real life. So that's kind of thrown in there. He likes to collect just like kind of like weird oddities, things that like us as collectors, we can definitely understand and agree with. And he has a shop and he sells these things in a shop, and that's what he wants to do. He just wants to run a shop and sell his collections and his antiques. And, he wants to go hunting for deals. Like, he doesn't want to be Starman. And it's ultimately thrust upon him where he really doesn't have much of a choice in the matter, and he now has to take on the role of Starman. And he's not the only character that gets a new identity, so to speak. So Starman's arch nemesis back in like the 40s was the Mist. Well, now the Mist is, this old man and things. So now his daughter is actually the new Mist. So his daughter, who's about the same age as Jack, she is now Jack's new nemesis. So it's still Starman and the Mist, but it's like the son and daughter of the original Starman and Mist. And there's some really interesting dynamics in that regard. And then when I was reading these, someone said to me, and I'll kind of open this up so you guys can kind of see the art and stuff while I'm talking here. But as I was reading these, someone said to me, oh, let me know when you get to the first talk. And obviously I had no idea what they were referring to. And as I kept reading, I realized what it was. I go, oh, this is the talk. Okay. And that's sort of where that family dynamic comes in. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great. And then in my second volume, the second talk happens. Apparently these talks, from what I gather, from what I've read, they seem to happen once a year. And they're sort of cryptic, which is pretty cool, and it kind of adds to the mystery. But yeah, the second talk got me. The one, for those that have read this, I'll just say when they're pirates, okay? That issue, that one got to me. That was good stuff. The art throughout so far, like I said, Tony Harris, really solid art. I really, really love the art. Definitely kind of got that mid-90s feel to it, but it's very defined and not, horrible or anything. And then also, oh, there's the pirate issue. I don't want to spoil too much on that one. But there's a lot of cool ads in these too, because it is a custom bind. There's a lot of really cool ads. But not just that. There's also some side stories. So there's a lot of flashbacks too, where it really kind of flashes back to his dad and his what his dad went through. And then they also bring in Wesley Dodds, the original Sandman, not Morpheus Sandman, but the Sandman with like the sand gun and stuff from back in like the 40s, the Wesley Dodds. So like they bring him in as an old man, and you get to have an adventure with him. And his dad has a lot of flashbacks, so there's a lot of these scenes. And then there's also these other characters that kind of come in. Solomon Grundy is kind of a side character, which I thought was kind of interesting. But it's not the Solomon Grundy that it's like they say devolved, but it's almost like an evolved version of Solomon Grundy. And there's some other characters and really cool things along the way. Like I said, I don't really want to spoil things on this. I'm going to do my best to not do that for you guys. But yeah, so overall, I'm really enjoying the book. I'm about 24, 25 issues in. I ultimately really, really love it. I can't wait to dive in and read the next couple volumes. If you guys, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. If you guys have read this book, I really want to hear what your thoughts are and what your feelings are on it. Maybe we can kind of talk privately and stuff and pick brains. I really love what we're doing. So, but thank you guys very much for absolutely everything that you have done, supporting the channel. Mike and I greatly appreciate it. And stay tuned for the next series of these. And hopefully they'll get a little bit better as we go on. So anyways, thank you all very much. And until next time, the power is yours.